Let me tell you about a father who received an email late one Friday afternoon. He'd been waiting for it for weeks. You know the kind of email I mean. The one where you keep checking. You keep checking and checking, even though you have already promised yourself you're going to stop checking. You keep checking. And finally it arrives. The subject line is short. And the moment he opened it, he knew. They had decided to move in a different direction. Now, this was not just any opportunity. This had already imagined what it could mean for the business, for his family. He already began to plan around it. And if he was to be honest, he quietly counted on it. So he read the email once, and he read it again a little more slowly, as though the words might change if he gave them enough time. But they didn't. And just as the disappointment began settling in, before he could react, even fully just take it in and soak in that moment, his daughter appeared in the doorway. She was holding a sheet of paper against her chest. She said, "Daddy?" He closed the laptop too quickly. She noticed. She knows her father. What happened? She asked him again, "What happened, Daddy? What happened?" And he said, nothing. She tilted her head. "Are you okay?" She asks him, or she can tell. And he says, "I'm fine. What do you need?" And this is the part he would remember later. She looked down at the paper she was holding and she said, "Nothing." She folded it in half, slid it behind her back, and walked away. He didn't know it yet, but his daughter had just watched him hide a failure. And within seconds, she had hidden hers too. Get comfortable, my friends. We're about to have another valuable conversation that you can't afford to miss. Grab your loved ones, grab your favorite snack if that's what you like to do with your time here, or if this is your time alone, take it to yourself. Get comfortable, as I said before, and let's go. No. Ooh, that's better, right, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah. She founded an architectural concrete company.
He founded a $100 million clothing company.
She took the world by storm as a social media star.
He took the world by storm as a famous serial entrepreneur.
Together we started a business.
And had babies.
Now we're figuring out the best ways to do both.
Join us as we learn from other entrepreneurs going through the same life struggles.
As they share their life hacks about success, love, kids,
and everything in between. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Becoming Unshakable, the Legacy Conversations bonus series brought to you by the Entrepreneur Parents Podcast, a community of strong families building lives of faith, courage, purpose, and lasting legacy. I'm your host, Ildiko Ferenczi. Today, I'd like to talk about something every person who has ever tried building a meaningful life will eventually face. Perhaps they've already faced it. It's the moment something doesn't work out. The answer is no. The launch is quiet. The opportunity goes to someone else. I know, it's painful. The idea you believed in does not become what you hoped it would become. And when we're parents, those moments carry another layer of responsibility, because even when we think we're handling disappointment privately, our children may still be watching. They hear how we speak about ourselves. They see whether we tell the truth, whether we blame someone else, or hide what happened, or begin treating one disappointing result as proof that we were never capable. Our children are not only listening when we teach them about perseverance, they're watching what we do when perseverance becomes necessary, when it's the only thing left to do. So today, we're not going to talk about how to avoid failure. No honest conversation about entrepreneurship, family, calling, or growth could actually promise that. We're going to talk about how to meet disappointment without allowing it to decide who we are, and how to show our children that something going wrong doesn't mean something is wrong with them or us. In our home, we don't pretend failure didn't happen. You can't just sweep it under a rug. It's still been seen. It's still been identified. We don't call something successful when it's not. And we don't rush past the disappointments as though it shouldn't hurt. It's not fun. Sometimes it's excruciatingly painful. Sometimes it changes the plan completely. But we also refuse to treat failure as something that's final. We look at a mistake, we face the change, and we ask, what is this here to teach us? Because when we're willing to tell the truth about what happened, a mistake can become a valuable lesson. That lesson gives us a next step. And sometimes one next step is all hope needs to stand back up. That is what relentlessness looks like in our family. And it's not pretending that nothing hurts. It's feeling the disappointment, learning what came with it, what it came to teach us, and refusing to let say it's one difficult moment. We're going to refuse to let that one difficult moment write the ending. It's not the end of our story. I want to jump back to that story for a moment. That evening, the father from the story is helping his daughter find a library book. She insists it's somewhere inside her backpack. And he opens the front pocket, nothing. He checks beneath a sweater and a half-open pack of crackers, and he sees a folded piece of paper. The same paper she had been holding in the doorway. He opens it. At the top of the page is a grade. She didn't want him to see it. 58%. It was her math test. She appears beside him and immediately reaches for it. You weren't supposed to look at that. He looks at her face. She's not angry. She's not ashamed. There's a different expression there. He asks her, why didn't you tell me? She looks at him and she shrugs. I don't know. You can tell me. Another shrug. And then quietly she says, I didn't want you to think that I was bad at math. He begins to reassure her. One test does not decide that. You can study, you could speak with the teachers, they can help you. You could figure out where you became confused. I can help you with that. But she's still just looking at the paper. And then she says something that he wasn't prepared for. And she takes a moment and she says, I didn't want you to know I failed. The words that she said, those words sit between them. Failed. Not struggled, not misunderstood, not I needed help, but failed. And then he suddenly remembers the whole situation. The laptop closing, his forced smile, his own quick answer. Nothing, I'm fine. He realizes that afternoon, earlier, his daughter came to him carrying her disappointment and watched him hide his. Maybe she didn't know what happened inside that email, but she understood that something had gone wrong. She saw his face. She knows her father. She knows her family. She watched him close the screen, and then she copied the lesson without either of them realizing it. He had a secret. Now she did too. When something does not work out, hide it. What do we do with mistakes and failures in our family? He asks. She looks at the test. Slowly she answers, we turn them into valuable lessons. That's right, he says. Not because they're fun, not because they don't hurt, but because we are brave enough to look at them, learn from them, and try again. She points towards his laptop. So do you have a valuable lesson too? He smiles. Yes, he says, it looks like we both do. Friends, there's research behind this. In 2016, psychologists Kyla Heimovitz and Carol Dweck published a series of studies examining how parents think about failure and what children perceive. The research found something important. Children were able to perceive whether their parents generally saw failure as something debilitating or as something that could lead to learning and growth. And those visible attitudes, they were very important. They mattered. Parents who tended to view failure as something that is harmful were more likely to focus on performance and ability when a child struggled. In other words, the message can become, what does this result say about how smart or capable you are? Parents who viewed failure as something that could support learning were more likely to focus on what the child could understand, practice, and improve. The study doesn't mean one disappointed reaction permanently shapes a child. It's not showing us that parents must celebrate every loss or pretend failure needs to be wonderful. That's not it. Sometimes it's very painful. Sometimes it's the worst feeling. But what it does mean is our children can notice what failure means inside our family or the situation. It is evidence that a person is capable. That nothing is too embarrassing to discuss. Painful information, if we face it honestly, we can learn from it. Listen, we can tell our children 100 times that mistakes are normal, that it's okay, it's normal. Everybody makes mistakes. But if they hear us call ourselves just silly or something worse, when we make one, something harsh, let's just say something harsh. I know little ones are cuddled in your lap, but if you call yourself something silly, or we call ourselves something harsh, if they watch us blame, or if they watch us blame everyone else when something fails or falls apart, or what about if we hide every disappointment and only let the people that we love around us see the polished victories, they may learn more from what we model than from what we say. You feel me? It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. There's a mistake we can make when talking about resilience. We can make failure sound pleasant. We say, it was meant to happen. Everything happens for a reason. It is just a lesson. It's just a lesson. And sometimes those words are comforting and we can use them. But sometimes it's like reflex. It comes too quickly because disappointment can hurt before it teaches. We miss that part when we're trying to stay positive. We have to be honest because losing an opportunity may affect the family financially, deeply, depending on someone, to pay us for our time, pay us for our work, and then it doesn't happen. That affects the family financially. The deal falling through, all of it. It affects everyone. A business setback that may represent months of work. A child's poor grade may reveal a real struggle that needs attention. Faith does not require us to pretend those realities do not matter, because they do. Healthy resilience is not smiling before we have acknowledged the pain. I know, and we talk about this, our family, we look at it as lessons and we say the positive things about it. But the truth is, those failures, those lessons, they hurt. They're painful. And truly, it's about being able to say, this hurts. This matters. This is not the end of my story. If you've listened to the children's podcast, that's how they end many episodes. This is not the end of my story. That is a very different message from this is nothing. It's just a mistake. Or this proves I'm nothing. We don't help children by turning every failure into a celebration. We help them by showing that disappointment can be survived. No matter how hard, it can be survived without becoming our permanent identity or identity at all. You just wipe that off the table. So let's go back to our example. The father carries the folded test into the kitchen and he places it on the table. His daughter sits across from him. He opens his laptop again. The rejection email is still on the screen. For a moment, he considers closing it. Then he turns the laptop toward her. I need to tell you something, he says. I got an answer today that I didn't want. She reads the first few lines, and she looks at her dad, and there's a pain in her eyes. She knows how bad he wanted it. They said no? And he nods. I really wanted this opportunity. I worked hard for it, and I'm disappointed. She looks at him. Is that why you closed your computer? He answers, yeah. Why didn't you say something happened? He pauses. There are moments when parenting asks us to teach. And there are moments when parenting asks us to tell the truth. And I was embarrassed, he said. I didn't want you to see me disappointed, and I didn't want to let everyone down. She looks back at her test, and she quickly looks back up at him, and she says, me too. Me too. Now the email and the math test are lying open on the same kitchen table. And neither result has changed. The contract is still gone. The opportunity, that life-changing thing that he wanted so bad, and the grade is still 58%, and it's not changing. But shame no longer has to protect either one of them. He points to her test. Can we look at what and where it became difficult? She points to his laptop. What are you going to do about that? He almost laughs. It is a fair question. I'm going to ask for feedback. Then I'm going to look at what I can improve before the next opportunity. She thinks about this. So you're going to try again? Yes. Even though they said no? Yeah. Yes, I'm going to try again. Then he looks at her paper. What about you? She unfolds the test completely. I think I stopped understanding here. She points to the first problem she got wrong. And this is where learning begins, not with pretending the result was good, blaming it on someone else, I didn't get enough sleep, and taking accountability. No pretending, not with deciding the result defined her. With enough honesty to look at the place where understanding stopped, and enough hope to believe it could begin again. There's a small change in language that can protect a child's identity. It could protect ours too. I failed can quickly become a statement about the person. If you grew up in a home of shame, and it's easy to take on that failure as a badge of who this person is. This attempt failed. Described an event. See the difference? I'm bad at this closes the door. I don't understand this yet leaves room for learning. That is not word play or designed to avoid accountability. This is what we want to install in our children. Because this will help our children when they grow up and they get married and they're having a conversation about how a wife is upset because of this, this, and that. How do we take accountability? How do we learn? How do we move on? How do we grow? Fix it. Don't put it under the carpet. Don't blame. Well, you made me feel this way. Right? It applies to everything. Sometimes our preparation was insufficient. Sometimes we didn't know enough. Sometimes we ignored advice. We listened to the wrong people. It could be in business. It could be in relationship. We're listening to the single guy. We're listening to the guy whose marriage and life we don't even want, or girl. Sometimes our decision was unwise. Sometimes we need to admit that something failed because of what we did. But accountability is more useful when it is specific. I didn't prepare enough. It gives us somewhere to go. And when they say they're a failure, that doesn't give you anywhere to go. That becomes the identity. One names the behavior that can change, and the other condemns the whole person. Our children need to know that they are responsible for their choices. Many adults don't even realize, or they don't know how to accept that they're responsible for their choices. That they are larger, that we're larger, that our children are larger than one choice. That they can face the truth without being crushed by it. That they could say, I got this wrong. I need help. I can learn. And I can try again. And they are more likely to believe those words when they have watched us live them. Not to hide from the truth. Not to run out the door from the truth. But to sit there and have the conversation. That is hard, by the way. Failure is not easy. Remember, it's painful. It's painful many times. Not always super painful, but many, many times it's excruciating. Failure can teach us, but failure is not automatically a great teacher. If we never examine what happened, we may simply repeat it. There's those people that keep doing the same thing again and again and again. And then what gets blamed? The person for nagging at that repeated thing. And if we blame everyone else, we may protect our pride and lose the lesson. How sad that would be if we obsess over the loss without taking a next step. Disappointment, it can become a room we keep living inside. We don't want to do that. Failure becomes useful when we tell the truth about it. What was within my control? What was not? What needs to change? What should remain? What is the next faithful step? We don't need to fire these questions at a hurting child like an interrogation. We can sit beside them and become curious together. Show me where it became hard. What do you think happened? What kind of help could or would make the next attempt different? The goal is not to rush them out of disappointment. The goal is to keep disappointment from becoming hopelessness. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16 says, "Though the just fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble from only one mishap." Notice that scripture doesn't describe a faithful person as someone who never falls. The just person falls and rises again. The number 7 in this proverb communicates repeated falling more than once. Enough times that someone watching might wonder whether rising is still possible, and yet they rise again. They didn't fall repeatedly because falling is good. It's not. Falling is painful. But failure did not receive the authority to write the ending. For Christians, rising again is not merely stubborn self-reliance. Sometimes we rise because God gives us strength. Sometimes we rise through repentance. Sometimes we rise through wisdom, correction, community with our sisters and brothers in Christ, or the humility to receive help. We don't teach our children that they can control every outcome, because that would be a lie. We teach them that when they fall, they don't have to remain hidden on the ground. They can turn to God. They can tell the truth. They can receive help. And they can take the next faithful step. Entrepreneurial families have a unique opportunity. Think about it. Children may see things that other children don't often see. They may hear ideas discussed before those ideas become real. What an opportunity to become a part of that. They may watch a parent take a risk without knowing exactly how it will turn out. That's courageous. They may see an opportunity arrive, and they may see another one disappear. This is spot on. I watched it happen to my mom, but I like to remember those moments that my mother would pray. And I know she would say, "I don't know what else to do right now." It didn't resonate so much until I got older, but imagine if I didn't see that. How would I know to do that when things were incredibly tough? And to listen for the answer. To wait and listen and keep praying, keep the faith. We can't guarantee that every venture will succeed, but we can decide what kind of home failure enters. Does it enter a home where everyone becomes tense and nobody is allowed to speak about what happened because it's uncomfortable, so we just don't want to talk about it? Toxic. Does it enter a home where blame begins moving from person to person? Toxic. Or does it enter a home where disappointment is acknowledged? Responsibility is taken, prayer is welcomed, and learning remains possible. That does not require turning the dinner table into a business meeting. Sometimes we like to do that. I like to do that with the children. But it may be just as simple as, I received disappointing news today. I'm sad about it, but it's going to be okay. Or maybe I made a decision that did not work. I need to learn from it. Those sentences teach emotional honesty without asking children to carry adult burdens. I think that children should know these things as babies, that they should be exposed to these types of conversations. We don't need to explode about these things. We don't need to lie about these things. We don't need to hide them. I always find that so weird. It's not. God doesn't give us trials to bury them. That boundary matters. Okay, our children should not become responsible for comforting us or solving financial problems or carrying information that they can't make sense of beyond their age. We can model, listen, because this is important. We can model truth without transferring the weight. So many of us grew up having it translated to us. This is what's going on. That's what's going on. This is what's happening right now. We can let them see that adults experience disappointments. Why hide that? This is why so many adults that were not equipped don't know how to handle the emotions that come with disappointment or that come with telling the truth. They feel like it's something to be shameful of. Well, how do you work through that then? How do you learn through that? Adults can respond with honesty, faith, responsibility, and hope. That is how we shepherd our babies, our children. That is how we prepare them. Remember? As arrows in the hands of a warrior. I want to go back to the story. A few nights later, the father is back at the kitchen table. The rejection email is still open on his laptop. But beside it is now the proposal he originally sent. Earlier that day, he called someone he trusted and asked them to read it. Not to tell them that he was treated unfairly and I can't believe that they did this and how rude and just I can't even put this into words. I worked so hard. I did everything, and this is what happened. He didn't call him to make him feel better, to get a pat on the back and, let's get some, drinks, soda. Get some soda. Soak ourselves in some soda because we're so mad. He called them to tell him the truth. His friend read it and said, I understand what you were offering because I know you. But someone reading this for the first time might not. That sentence stayed with him. So tonight, he's rewriting one section, trying to make the value clear, trying to turn the disappointment into something useful. A few minutes later, his daughter walks into the kitchen carrying another math page. This time it's not folded. She places it on the table beside him. Dad? He looks up. Can you help me before I get all of these wrong? He slides his laptop to the side and pulls her paper closer. Then she notices the proposal on the screen. Is that the thing they said no to? Yes. Why are you still working on it? And he thinks for a moment. I'm not sending them the same proposal again. I'm trying to understand how I can make the next one better. She looks at her math page. So we're both working on our valuable lessons. He smiles. It looks that way. She pulls her chair closer. He reads the first problem with her. And for a while, they were quietly beside each other, not pretending the first result did not hurt, not ashamed that they need help. Just two people at the same kitchen table, learning what to do next. Did I get choked up? Maybe a little. They're learning what to do next together. You see, that's the difference. That's the difference. And it wouldn't have turned out that way if they would have hid it and it would have stayed hidden and swept it under a carpet and left it there and kept the secret for years. I'll never talk about it. Never bring it up. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Because the wound will be there forever. And they wouldn't know how to figure it out. And that child will bring that into their marriage, into their children's lives, into the children's children's lives. So something so simple can have a completely different outcome. And sometimes you have to put boundaries in place because there could be something that happens, right? And someone will deny it. Or but maybe that's for another podcast because that's going to be a long one. Listen, our children do not need to watch us win every time. They don't. And if you feel if you feel the urge to win every time, I think you need to step back. Try to figure out, where did that come from? Why can't I be wrong? Why can't I apologize? Why do I need to win every time? Why do I have to perform? I'll tell you what they need to do. They need to see what we do when we don't win. They need to know that disappointment can be named without becoming permanent. That accountability does not require self-hatred. Let go of that. That asking for help is not weakness. That faith does not make us immune to failing. We could be so faithful and still fail and learn a wonderful lesson. It gives us that faith. It gives us somewhere to turn when we do make the mistake. The lesson is not failure doesn't matter. I want you to take away the lesson is failure matters, but it does not get to decide your worth or finish your story. Relentlessness is not refusing to feel disappointed. It is refusing to let disappointment have the final word. Period. End of story. Grab your journals, grab something to write with, and just take a moment here. Don't judge yourself. Let's just move into this together and ask ourselves these questions honestly. What have my children heard me say about myself when something did not work out? Do I tend to hide failure? Make it look like a win? Blame others? Or treat one disappointing result as proof that I'm incapable? How can I speak honestly about an age-appropriate disappointment and turn it into a lesson without asking my children to carry it for me? But how can I give them the best value, the best lesson? That's a great question. And what is one setback I can face differently? Not only for myself, but for the people learning from the way I live. There's so much more, but this is a good start. Let's come together in prayer and lock it in. Remember, friends, we all pray together because when two or more come together, that's when the miracles happen. Heavenly Father, thank you for being with us in every victory and in every moment that does not unfold the way we had hoped. Give us courage to tell the truth about disappointment without allowing it to define us. When we have made a mistake, give us humility to take responsibility. When we've said something or did something to hurt someone, help us to take responsibility and help heal the situation. When we need wisdom, help us ask. When we fall, give us the strength to rise again. Teach us to model something honest for our children. Help them see that failure does not make them unworthy, that needing help does not make them weak, that one difficult result does not determine who they can become. Protect our homes from shame, from blame and hopelessness. Give us language that makes room for truth, hearts that remain open to learning, and faith that remembers you are still working even when the answer is no. May our children see us pray every day, all day. Repair. Let them see us repair. Let them see us learn, and let them see us take the next faithful step. In Jesus' name, amen. My friends, perhaps there's an email you have not wanted anyone to see, just like the gentleman in our story, a result that you've been hiding, a decision you wish you could make again. You don't need to pretend it didn't hurt. You don't need to call something successful when it wasn't. But you also do not need to turn one painful outcome into a verdict over your entire life. Look at what happened. Tell the truth. Did it bomb? Was it really a success? Take responsibility for what belongs to you. Release what doesn't. Ask God for wisdom. Then decide what rising again looks like from here. You could change, you could pivot, you could change everything. You could change the type of business you go into. You could change the type of marriage you want to have from today on. You can change the type of parent you become. Your children don't need a parent who always appears undefeated. Are you kidding me? My mother learned so many lessons. It's why I respect her today, because I understand it. She had a hard time running the business. She would tell us. She would ask for our ideas. Sometimes things didn't go the way that we planned or that she planned. And we'd find her in her room praying. Then she'd invite us to pray with her. She didn't know what the next steps would be. But she believed, even before the jeweler, she believed this. She believed that two angels came to her and nothing could tell her any different. Two angels walked into the store. It's a beautiful story. They gave her a scale, all the things that she needed for the jewelry store when she was still in the antique shop, and everything kind of fell into place. Anyway, if she wouldn't have told me the truth about things, or I wouldn't have seen her work things out, I would never have had the courage. I would never have had the courage as a teenager to invest in the things I invested, to build the architectural concrete company, to do the things that I did, to fail, but then stand back up, to go through the hardest things in my life and put on the gloves and fight. If I wouldn't have seen her fight, where the heck would I learn to fight? If everything was perfect and she swept everything under a rug and I never saw any of it, how would I have learned? I'd spiral when things got hard. When our children needs a parent who shows them what it looks like when life brings disappointment. We don't have to hide. We can open the paper, open the laptop. We can ask for help. We can learn. And by the grace of God, we can rise again. Your children may not remember every victory they watched you celebrate, but they may build an entire life from what they learned. When? You may ask yourself, when would they learn that? I'll tell you, the day they watched you fail. Tell the truth and rise again. Painful. It's painful. But it's possible. Before you reach for that coffee, consider this. What if the energy boost you're looking for isn't in your cup, but in your cells? I challenge you to swap your morning coffee for Shilajit by Symbiotica. And here's what can happen. No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy, plus mental clarity and trace minerals that our bodies actually need, that are actually starving for, to be honest. This isn't just a supplement. It's an ancient adaptogen sourced from the Himalayas that supports mitochondrial function, stamina, and overall vitality. Your coffee never did that. Okay, let's just be honest. Try it for a week and tell me your body doesn't thank you. Symbiotica's Shilajit is next level wellness, and honestly, you may never go back to drinking coffee. Click the link below down in the bio and get your Shilajit today. If this conversation brought someone to mind, share it with them. Be the blessing for them, especially the parent carrying disappointment quietly, if you know they are, some kind of struggle, something, or the family who needs to know that one difficult result is not the end of their story. If Becoming Unshakable has become a part of your week, follow the Entrepreneur Parents podcast and leave a 5-star rating and a kind review. It helps more families find these conversations. And if you want to connect with me, my links are at the bottom. Come introduce yourselves. I can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to pray over you and your family. Let me know if there's any way I can help you. I'm so grateful for this community. It's so beautiful. I love you guys so much. When I hear your stories, I find myself in many of them. It's just like you find yourselves in many of my stories or examples, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you for showing up and putting in the work. And if you have children in your life, come listen to Daniel and Destiny on the Entrepreneur Kids Legacy Show, screen free learning created. I say that because it's so hard right now, right? I see so many parents struggling. There's so much garbage out there. This is something good. It's something wholesome. Learning created to plant seeds of faith, courage, character, leadership, entrepreneurship, and purpose in the next generation. You could listen. And I have another secret. Daniel and Destiny, they came up with this great idea for an app. They're building it right now, and it's going to launch very soon. And it's a safe place. It's not like the video games where there's messaging and gosh knows who the kids are talking to, who knows who the kids are on the other end, who knows if they're even kids. There's so much craziness going on. It's a safe place. There's books to read. There's courses about business, self-development. There's inspirational music to plant seeds of greatness, faith. There's, oh my gosh, there's exercise. There's everything on there. And sometimes you just need a minute to talk to Dad. You're driving in the car and you can't remember the last time you guys had a good conversation, right? You can listen to the podcast through the app. You could have a good 30-minute talk, a powwow about business, or a good connection for relationship. And in the kitchen while you and Dad are working, or Dad and Mom are working, the kids can learn and marinate themselves in these seeds of greatness. I invite you, sign up. So you can grab it when it comes up. I know I needed this. I need this. My children, they listen to their podcast. They listen to their own podcast. And these are the things that they enjoy doing too. They love to challenge themselves. They love to build their mindset. Friends, also, if you want to help produce their show, you could leave them a gift at buymeacoffee.com/entrepreneurkidslegacy. And those of you that asked if you could buy me a coffee too, you could leave it there. Yes, please buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. I do. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for buying me a coffee. And you can leave me a message so I know that coffee is for me. And when you guys buy me a coffee, the kids cheer. And when you guys buy the kids a coffee, I cheer and we celebrate. And we just smile ear to ear and realize, this is helping people. This is great. They're encouraging us to get back up even on the days when we don't want to show up. There's sometimes I can tell that the kids may not feel like showing up, but because they made a commitment, they show up anyway. How can I not show up? The days that I don't feel good, I'm exhausted, I really don't want to do it. And then I get on here, I say a prayer before, and it's like I see your faces, I see the letters you've written me, copies you bought me. I push record and everything changes. I feel blessed. I'm grateful to be here. And I know that I'm doing the right thing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for growing with us, and thank you for building with us. I want to leave you with this last thing. May God meet you in the places where life did not go as planned. May He give you humility without humiliation. There's a difference. There's a difference. Responsibility without shame. Let go of the shame. And courage without pretending. Okay? You could be scared and you do it anyway. You don't have to pretend that you're someone else. You can share. I shared it last time. When I first showed up by myself, I was scared. I don't show up that much for social media because I got my hands full over here. But I'd much rather do a 4 to 9 second video, 10 second, even 30 second, even 5-minute video than talk here. I was scared, but I did it anyway. I showed up. How could I not? I remember Daniel. Just before Grandma suddenly passed, he committed to this big stage. Thousands of people, 4,000, 6. I don't even know anymore. He's speaking. He's spoke on such huge stages, and it was huge. And when people told him that he shouldn't do it, that he should go grieve, it struck a chord with him. That's not what Grandma would want. And I know there's someone in that audience that's hurting. So just because I'm hurting, does that mean that I don't go up there? No, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go up there. He didn't tell me he was scared. But I know he was sad. I know his heart. They would speak for hours on FaceTime. And he would run and jump in her lap. And when he was with her, I know his little heart hurt. I saw the way he cried. I saw the way they screamed when she passed. I have this picture, and they're just embracing each other, screaming. I didn't even know that. I never thought that it... yeah. Again, it was hard. But may your children see that strength is not never failing. Strength is telling the truth. It's receiving with wisdom. It's receiving wisdom and rising again. May failure never become your identity. Never, ever. Rebuke it. May disappointment never become your home. No, thank you. We're good. Don't want you, disappointment. And may every difficult season become an invitation to learn more about your strengths. And also to lean, most importantly, to lean deeply into God, into your prayer life, into your faith. God has you. And may you grow into wisdom and to continue building a faithful, courageous, and unshakable legacy. God bless you. Glory to God always. We love you. Keep building strong families and strong futures and an unshakable legacy. This is Becoming Unshakable with your host, Ildiko Ferenczi. God bless you, friend.
Thank you, beautiful friends, for listening to this important message from Mama. Share with someone you love and care about. Oh, and we'd love to personally invite you to listen to our podcast. It's for young future leaders ready to change the world and be a light in the dark. Listen together as a family. It's called the Optional Kids Legacy Show. We know you'll love it. Be bold, be kind, build an unforgettable family legacy. God bless you. We love you. And parents, one told you yet. Let us be the first. You're doing a remarkable job. And remember, you are the hero of your story, because every legacy begins with a hero, and that hero is you.
This podcast is for inspirational and educational purposes only, and it is not intended to replace professional advice, legal advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The views expressed are based on personal experience and faith-based insight and are meant to encourage reflection and growth. Always seek the guidance of qualified professionals regarding any questions or concerns you may have about your health, relationships, or business.